Okay, I think we are on top of the hour, 10 o'clock. And welcome to this webinar on the Prisma Access Browser. My name is Christian, and I will take you through this. It will probably go around an hour, is what we have set aside, but let's see how it goes. And let's see if we can. Just before we begin, a few housekeeping slides. You're also muted, and this webinar is being recorded such that you can see it afterwards if you wish for. You will also have the slides afterwards, but please do feel free to write your questions in the Q&A section, and I will come back to them in the later. I think I will address them at the end because it's hard to see a presentation and also see a chat. My name is Christian, and I'm a security architect with the Danish team. It is as such in Conscia that we have a lot of different countries by now, but we have these focused tech communities across, and I'm part of the Palo Alto community. But I'm actually coming with a background of a lot of different technologies, both from Palo Alto but also from other vendors. You can argue that I spent the first 10 years on building stuff by being a network architect, and then I spent 10 more years destroying things by doing security. But I have a pretty broad background. But do you really know people before you have looked into their closets? This is my attic, so this is my closet. I'm what you probably would call like a tech enthusiast. I believe a lot in having hands-on and trying out stuff and see how it works and see how it breaks, more or less. So that's also, it's a good thing, I think, because it makes sure that you're kind of you're on your toes. Conscia, we are 9 countries by now, in different areas, with quite a lot of customers by now. Norway, Sweden, Denmark, we have a close collaboration, especially on stuff like Palo Alto, which is the vendor behind the technology that we will be showcasing today, but also others. And the most of us is actually the same kind of tech enthusiast as me, I would assume. So back to the agenda. So why is this even relevant? I think that you should always start a presentation by kind of stating why is it that we are looking at this? Why is it that we're interested in this? Why is it that it could make sense for various companies to look at a solution such as this? And then, being the techies that we are, we want to know what is it really, and how can we boil it down to something very concrete? Because all technologies at the heart of it is, while they can be complex, it's often not that difficult to grasp what it really is. So I will try to boil it down to saying what it is, and then I will unfold it again and saying how does it work. But I will try not to spend the entire hour on PowerPoints, because I think everyone will be a little bit bored, and also really am a firm believer in actually seeing stuff for yourself. So I will do I think I will do a little bit longer demo, where I will try to showcase some of these different use cases there are within this technology. Because when we're doing that, I think that when we're seeing how could this be used, you can also kind of get ideas on how would that fit into your organization. And then I'll have some closing remarks, and I will do the Q&A and see if anyone you brave enough to write something in the chat. All right. So the solution that we are going to talk about, it's a browser-based solution, hence the name, Palo Alto Access Browser. I will also cover a little bit more on the architecture behind it, because there is some peripherals which also needs coverage. But why are we interested in browsers in general from a security perspective? Well, it's because the browser is more or less been the primarily hub of productivity. I dare you to go into if you have a Mac, you can go into your screen time and try to see how much time you're actually using on on which applications. And I'm not just talking Facebook and stuff like that. I'm talking like, yeah, more or less everything. Most of our time today is spent on browsers. And I looked at mine and I could see that even though I did not use 100%, I think that may be a little bit overstating it. But the browser and a few office tools, that was actually my 85%, I think, on my laptop here. But do the exercise and try to go in and look how much you are actually using it. And what we have to keep in mind when we're using the browsers that much is that becomes then a very large attack surface for us as an organization, because where the people are and where the people work, that is also where we're going to see a lot of attacks and a lot of compromises. And browsers are also vulnerable. For instance, if we look at the CVE details for 2023, we had 345 vulnerabilities just in the browsers themselves, and that's just the browser. Then we have, of course, all the traffic and all the usage of it. And why is it that this browser has become the primary hub? Well, it is because not all, but a lot of our tools have shifted to being web fronted, because a web frontend is a very convenient way of showing an app to a user, because it works very well. It has very high tolerance for latency. It does wonders if you want to distribute it across the globe, etc., etc. So more or less, I think more or less every new product, thing, technology is web-based, at least from the front-end perspective. And that means that's also where our users gonna be. So that's the shift we have seen from the last perhaps 5-10 years, that we have gone that way. I remember when I started in technology, we used the SAP, that was an application, and we had a database application. We had all kind of different applications, and we still have those, but the trend is that all the new stuff is most often done through some sort of web UI interface. That, of course, makes it, I don't know if it makes it more troublesome, but at least it does give us the trouble that the visibility into this and the control mechanisms and all these things, also these new things like generative AI. How do we want to use it, but we cannot have it down in our basement because NVIDIA is charging a gazillion for all their compute. So we want to use it out there, but we don't want to put out our company data. We don't want to put out our user data. How can we do it in an intelligent way, but also in a controlled manner? And that's definitely a problem. You can argue that we have tried to fix some of these things through putting in infrastructure components such as next generation firewalls, etc., etc. But these are also they're still valuable and they're still necessary, but it becomes harder for us to leverage all the capabilities because traffic becoming encrypted and such. And if we are on the endpoint itself, which we are with the browser, then that problem goes away, because in essence we can look at things, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to present them to the user. So when we are on the endpoint, we can see everything. That gives us a very good point of vantage for having this insight. And then, of course, we also have the unmanaged devices. We all have them. I don't know if everyone closes their eyes, but everyone likely have unmanaged devices in their network. Some is more unmanaged than others. I think an interesting statistics coming out from Microsoft was that 85% of all ransomware was were actually coming from unmanaged devices. So why is that? Why is that of interest for us? Well, it is of interest for us because if we can secure an environment through a browser and only provide access that way, then we have limited our attack surface, and then we wouldn't have to open our infrastructure unnecessarily much, which then would be able to lead to compromises. So the Prisma Access Browser, it's a browser, so it's an executable which runs on whatever device. The cool thing about it is that it supports any kind of user. So the users log into the browser, and then they get the identity for which they have logged into it. But not only that, we also take into account on which device they have logged into it. So we're doing, you can say that we're doing a policy based on who you are, what is it that you're using, what's your location, and what are you accessing. So we start by doing this, and this is what we know as a scope when we're doing policy a little bit later on. But it makes it very flexible, and it makes it easy for us to actually hand out our way into our infrastructure. In the old days, we would probably just send out a laptop with a VPN on it, and then we would create them in the Active Directory, etc., etc. But that's a very cumbersome process, and it also ties into that whole managed device paradigm, which is good for a security perspective, but it's a little harder on the operation. Here we get a much more lightweight access into this. The Prisma Access Browser, from a technical perspective, it's a Chromium browser with the native UX. This actually means that, and you will probably see it in just a short while. When I was doing a little bit prep for this demo, I had my normal Chrome and I had the Prisma Access Browser, and I would constantly interchange them because they are looking so much the same. It has all the same buttons, it's all the same places. Everything looks and feels the same. Also, from a user experience perspective, it actually you don't really notice that it's corporate managed, and it doesn't require privileged administratively because you're logging into the browser, and the browser doesn't really need to do anything. And there's a little bit of caveat: if you choose to have it doing more inspection, for instance, on my Mac, you would need to provide it access, for instance, to the, if you want to have it touch your microphone, it needs, of course, to have that permission on the Mac OS. But other than that, it's not an administratively application. But most importantly, it's a managed solution, which means that it has a unified visibility. It has an orchestration layer on top. That orchestration layer is through a cloud portal, which is known as the Prisma Strata Cloud Manager, and from within there, the Prisma Cloud Manager, Strata Cloud Manager, it can be configured and it can be viewed, and you can create policies, and all the browsers will then hook up to the orchestrator, and it will get policies, and will actually do that every 90 seconds. So it goes that very, very fast. Also, all the eventing, all the security audit stuff, it goes through that as well. So it's very potent, and it's very easy as well for creating good security posture. So, and what we will see on this picture here is also that you have the Prisma Access Browser, and then you have two lines. So you have one going through the Prisma Access, and then you have one going directly to the internet. And that's because that you can actually, so you can actually differentiate on how you want traffic to go and which kind of traffic you want to go which way. So just to very briefly go to the Prisma Access part of it. The Prisma Access is Palo Alto's premium SASE solution. So that's a more traditional, if you will, SASE solution. So it's, if we're gonna boil it down again, it's a VPN concentrator in the cloud where you get all the inspection, and on top of that you get all the advanced capabilities, for instance, log integration, SOC, so all these things. But it can also be providing the backhauling access to local resources. This means that if you have a classical VPN client through the Prisma Access, you can, of course, access the internet out through their scanning gateways. But you can also go internally and say, I'm going out there, and then I'm to whatever connection point, and then I will backhaul it to whatever local resource I need. The idea with that is that you get the same visibility, the same security everywhere, but that would require the VPN solution, which is then a broader solution in that sense that the Prisma Access Browser deals with web traffic. The Global Protect solution is the VPN, so that could actually cater for everything, but it's also a little more, the Prisma Access Browser is a more lightweight solution, you could argue. but you can take the Prisma Access browser and take all that traffic through the Prisma Access. So you get to choose, or you can mix and match. So we can take all traffic and we can do what feels like split tunneling from a user perspective, in that sense that it goes directly to the internet, but it gets inspected within the browser itself. So that's a really good thing for everything more or less private, because it gets really snappy user feedback. It goes really fast, but we are still leveraging some of the security technologies on top, such as advanced URL inspection. We get file inspection through the wildfire. We can do a whole lot on the DLP side, which I will also show you in a second. And you can have that, and you can actually have that totally standalone. You don't need any Prisma Access infrastructure whatsoever. You can just have the orchestration, the browsers, and then the access out to the internet, and you can carve out, you may not go to this and this site or this category or whatever you want to achieve. But that's doing local security on the browser itself. That means on the endpoint. Then we can do. Then we can also say that we want some of the traffic to go through the Prisma Access, or we want all the traffic to go through the Prisma Access. That's also a capability. If we do that, well, we need to do it if we want to have backhauling connectivity for private applications. That means if I have 192.168.1.1 web server in my basement, I will have a service connection through the Prisma Access, and the Prisma Access browser will automatically tunnel that traffic through the Prisma Access and down to your environment. But you can still make the policies within the Prisma Access policy set as you would normally do. Then we can also say that we want everything to go to the Prisma Access. And if we do that, we get this, you can call it second layer of network inspection, because then we would both have the local layer in the Prisma Access browser, but we would also get the secondary layer through the normal Prisma Access inspections. So it kind of little bit depends on what the use case are, where the data is, and what you want to leverage. But it's a capability, and it's actually fairly easy to say within the technology which way you want to go with what traffic. So I can show you that in a little bit later. As you probably also can understand, the technology has very different use cases. It has a lot of different use cases. So we can have, like, a use case could be like third-party contractors, which you want to onboard onto your whatever solution you got. As long as it's web-based, it's a very easy and convenient way of just enrolling them into the solution and just handing them out that's a URL where you download the installable. But the installable, the binary, that's it's the same for everyone, but then you log into it and then it downloads the policies, and then it pushes that onto your logged in profile. Then you have all the BYOD use cases. That's simply, again, if you want to provide access to an internal something for whatever device, and you don't want to have no hassle, or you're doing Salesforce or whatever, but you need to have more granular control of it, and you need to have more audit logging on it, and you want to have a more security posture around it, you can do that, but just rolling out the Prisma Access browser for everyone, and just having them just use that, and say if you want to use it on bring your own devices, be our guest, because the user experience will travel with you, because you log into the device, and it's kind of the same if you are familiar with Chrome, and when you're logging into Chrome, it will synchronize your bookmarks and stuff like that. It's the same here. You get all the bookmarks, you get all the stuff, but you also inherit all the security functionality, plus that you get all the security operation part of it, all the logging and that stuff. So again, a lot of different use cases. If we're gonna dig a little bit more into them, I don't think I will here, but you can kind of think about it yourself. What could we think about? Do we have an existing VDI solution where they are only leveraging for accessing certain internal web pages? Well, then that actually is then you completely don't need that, because the only reason for the VDI would be that if you need to have non-web access to something, and that we could actually also cover with the GP, but you would probably want the VDI. Yeah, and then you have then I will show that a little bit later as well, but there's a front line. So that's just pushing it out there to the people, saying, ready, set, go. You don't need to be in contract with the big company. You can just go down to the local supermarket, you can buy the computer, and you can download the software from the internet, and then you log in, and then you're actually good to go. We also get some functionalities within how the user is experiencing the solution. Is it performing well? There are metrics within the solution, which it's called ADEM. It's called Application Digital Experience Monitoring, which actually goes out and feels on the connections. It's you can opt in on it, but it actually gives a very good indication on what is going well, because you can then say, I will show it, but you can drill down to whatever application and see what's the response time for this particular application. Is something is performing well, this is a certain user group performing bad, etc., etc. So it's kind of an observability perspective on it. Yeah, we can do all these things on the any device, so we can support the stuff which otherwise is hard for infrastructure components, such as undecryptable traffic, quick stuff which is hard to intercept, TLS 1.3, etc., because we are on the endpoint, so we can see everything there. It also gives us all these things about the last mile data protection, and by that I mean, if you're concerned about DLP, you're concerned by material rights, you're concerned about how people are using the browsers and how they accidentally can expose things that you wouldn't want to, you can set that up so it's actually not possible for the user, or at least that they need to do a very active approach. I will show it in a little bit later. I think every country have social security numbers. That's what I have done for the demo, because it's very obvious. So you don't want to have social security numbers or bank credit card numbers floating around. You don't want to have them pushed to generative AI, etc. These things we can configure as well through the solution. Yeah, so again, there's a lot of different use cases. And one note on the VDI is that you can also, if you have access, if you need access to like a Windows desktop, you can also have I wouldn't say a converter, but there is a piece of software called, for instance, Guacamole, which then converts the RDP into web-based, and then you can just front that with the browser, and then it will work just fine. So if we're going to boil it down into three big pillars, you have the secure environment. The secure environment means the browser itself, securing that browser, securing the files, securing all that stuff which there, preventing all these CVEs. Then you have the last mile data and identity control. This is the bread and butter of it, I would say, because it's here where we can actually provide a lot of security for whatever the user is doing. And then we have a user-first workspace, which translates into a better user experience using the Prisma Access Browser. The secure environment, that's the browser. So for instance, we can secure such that it becomes immutable to keyloggers that's been on the machine. We can make sure that you cannot take screenshots of it. We can lock it down a lot so that it's not capable of connecting to promiscuous sites which use strange encryption or no encryptions. So we can carve out trusted CA stores. We can do a lot of things here just on the browser environment itself. And that means that we can actually do a lot of attack surface reduction. And that's really key and important. But also that when we have this browser, we get this, we get all the insight, we get all the activity logging, get a user timeline. We also can get the session recording. I will show that. But that means if we trigger a certain, it could be a very general one, because we get all the logs, but we can also do what we call an extensive log, which is actually a full session recording, which means that we can see if you trigger a DLP rule, we can see exactly how did you move the mouse, what did you click on, what did it do, etc., etc. And then of course we get all the normal capabilities from Palo Alto. So if you download a file, it will be scanned through the sandboxing environment on the advanced file, if you choose to do so, of course. And it will of course prevent malware. If you download a virus, it will detect it and it will throw it out. We also get URL filtering. That's a basic capacity, but it also provides the AI-powered one, which goes in and actually does a deeper inspection of it. And if we are going back to that, how we used to do things in the past, we would often have this split tunnel capability on VPNs, and then we would probably leverage some sort of DNS security on top of that, just to make sure that it was not completely open. But DNS is actually it's good, but it's not a very deep layer of security. So you should definitely do it, but here you're actually getting that and a whole lot more, because we can see a lot more in the stack. And then we get the advanced threat protection, which is the basic IPS functionality, as well as the advanced capabilities. On the last mile part, that's very much into the zero trust terminology. So on the zero trust, we want to know the users. We want to have control on what they're doing. We want to have insight into the applications. We want to have continuous inspection of it. And all these things we can actually do with the last mile and with the browser. For those who don't know the acronym MFA, that means multi-factor authentication. JIT is just in time. So that means that I can actually, again, because I am on the endpoint, I can leverage a whole lot of things, such that if I access this particularly confidential something, then I need MFA. Then it will leverage it, and it will say you need to elevate your privileges, and here is the MFA to do it. It could also be that right now I'm copy pasting a social security number into ChatGPT. That requires me to ask for permissions to do that. That could be a just-in-time control. So a lot of different things. And these things can be configured. This is actually how it looks like in the orchestration layer. So you can actually probably see from here that you can go granular, and you can go right, and you can go small. I think I will show it in the demo instead, but you can say this particular user or user group from my Active Directory or whatever, coming from my Android devices, coming from locations in Norway, when they're accessing, I don't know, Reddit, then I want Reddit content to be more inspected, perhaps locked to a certain degree, or perhaps I want to lock it down such that you cannot post anything to Reddit. Then we could do that as well. So you can actually configure it in the way you want, and then you add data controls on top of that. The data controls can be a lot of things. It could be stuff like screen sharing block, such that if I'm doing something as I'm doing right now, that you won't be able to see the screen, the web page I'm showing. That could be for internal users. So since it could be the Salesforce or something like that. I could also make sure that we are masking text. So even though it's there, you cannot see it. So here is an example with credit card numbers. I will show another example just in a moment. I can also make sure that you cannot access your camera, microphone, etc., etc., etc. So I can do a lot of things. I can also do watermarking. That's what you're seeing down on the lower right. So I put in a picture across it. The idea with that is that if I'm not masking it, people can, in principle, take a picture with their phone. But if I put a watermark on it, at least I can attribute it to where it's coming from. So I'm kind of protecting myself against it. The just-in-time, that would be passkeys, MFA, an admin approval flow saying I want access to this particular site. So I can do multiple things. I can either say block it hard. I can say you are allowed to go there, but please provide a reason. Or I can say you can ask for approval to go there. And that would require me to actually approve for that, particularly saying I want access to this because I need it. Then I can do that on a per session basis. We have a lot of classifiers. That's for the DLP. We're actually leveraging some of the enterprise DLP stuff, and it's actually quite good. So we can either do built-in classifiers, or we can do our own, and we can do regexes. We can do a lot of things. I will show them. Or we can do based on predefined regulations and compliance profiles. If you do that, for instance, if you choose the GDPR, then it will mix some of the built-in data classifiers, such as this is social security numbers, this is addresses, this is all these different things. They're saying all these things matches a GDPR profile, so that would then be put in there. We can also integrate with Microsoft's DLP solution and other stuff if we want to have it that way. I shall show it. We can also, if we're doing files, from time to time we do have files, we can make sure that they don't leave our contained environment. That means that when we're downloading a file, it will be, it can be, if you choose to, we can have it being encrypted. And if it's encrypted, it's only the browser which can unlock it. That means that if you have two different web applications, you can move files between them and it will work just fine. If you need to extract the file because you need to take it with you or put it somewhere else, then you can opt in on saying that the user is allowed to decrypt a certain file from a certain site. So it's actually very granular, it's very flexible, but you, even though that you encrypt it, you don't lose any capabilities of actually moving him across as long as you are within the browser. Unless it's configurable in multiple steps, but you can do it as you will. Then there's the whole user experience. 5 times faster application. Yeah, some of them are. But what it does and what it means is that it prefetches things. That's the main way it works. So it guesses what you are gonna do next, and then it has already fetched those the next page. So for instance, if you have a page and it has 5 links, it will likely it will fetch the 5 sub pages, and it will be ready for showing them to you. But that actually gives a very good user experience. And there are also some specific applications which is being more accelerated, let's call it that, where there is a better understanding on what is the user's normal expectation for the next page. But that's actually also very good. What also is there is there's the ADEM, which makes which for the administrator is good because it gives us like the opportunity to kind of see what's going on and if there's something bad happening. But we also do have what's known as a live terminal. So imagine that a user call in and says it's not working. It could happen, and if such a thing happens, there is a capability within it where the admin can go in and he can actually he can show a live streaming of what the user is seeing and can then see the problem that the user is referring to, and it can actually also record the issue and put it into a case file if you need that as well. It's cloud managed, so, and I will show this in just 2 seconds now because I wanna do a little bit more demo. But it's within this Strata Cloud Manager. You go in there and it will show you both. If you have the normal Prisma Access, it will show you a lot on the Prisma Access side. All the normal stuff you will see there, how to configure firewalls, all that stuff, but also how the Prisma Access browser is behaving. If you would rather have it done through APIs, you can do that as well. There's also APIs for this. And the backend uses, and also the Prisma Access part of it, which is your backhauling, it uses hyperscalers for availability and latency, and you're choosing which pubs you want. So if you want to redirect traffic, certain traffic through the Prisma Access, or all of it, or none of it, you can choose where you want to have it exit. Because since we're using the hyperscalers, we can just say, I want to have it go out in Norway. I wanted to have it go out in wherever there is a point of presence through either AWS or Google Cloud. We can likely go out that way. So this is just for reference because it's a lot, but that's just some of all the functionalities within these 3 buckets that I mentioned. So secure environment, so what can we do to secure and harden the browser and the endpoint itself? And last mile, what can we do for actually making sure that we're not compromising anything, and what kind of control we want, and all the CTNA, etc. And then there's the whole the user first workspace experience. All right, that was a lot. I know it was a lot. So now you have like the theoretical background. All right. So this is the Prisma, the cloud strategy manager. I'm already within the enterprise browser part of it. So this is how it looks when you're just looking at it. And you can see I have a whopping 1 user on this solution. The user is coming from an Active Directory. The Active Directory is it's mapped through the it's called it's a user group sync. It's not basic, but it's you can have an Active Directory, you can have an Azure ID, whatever, and you just choose what user group do you want to embed onto it, and then you get the users from the groups that you have chosen. As you can see here, I have a Christian@labnet.local. This is me. I'm active right now. That's because I have already opened the browser. I can show you afterwards, just a short while. So this is the browser, and if anyone is familiar with the Chrome browser, it should look and feel probably a little bit like this, probably a lot like this. What you can see here is that I have actually a few controls on this particular page. This is Google. So I have a watermarking. You can see that here, just because I can. But other than that, I don't have a lot of control. I can also set a label up here, and I can also choose to show what kind of what are in scope for this particular one. If I choose to go in here, I can see that this particular browser, it's been updated today. That's 1 minute ago. It has it's on the laptop. It's running on the Mac OS, on this Mac, etc., etc. And all these things are of course put into the management console of it. If I have Prisma Access integration, I can see it here, and I can of course, based on these properties, I can tell it if I want that particular user to have access or not. I can also see how is the services running, all that stuff. This is not a normal place that the user would end up. It's just to showing you, because every time I have information or attributes, you can argue, then I can also use that for policies. So let me just show you a few of the rules I have created just for you. So this is the Google side. Here I only have a watermark. I can do test, whatever. See, it works fine. It actually works very snappy. Right now, I'm not going out through the Prisma Access. This is my external IP address. This is the office IP address. So I'm just going directly out, but I'm leveraging all the internal security. If I were to just show another piece of functionality, if I go into CNN, I had to find a word that I was fairly sure would be picked up, just for having like common DLP. I don't know if anyone can guess which word is there. I have chosen to keep the first character none turned off. See, I can copy paste it up here, but you cannot see it because it's still masking it. But what I can do is, because this particular policy is allowing me to remove that, then I can remove it if need be. So again, that was just because I wanted to have a word which was probably fairly common on my website. I could also say I want to have access to something else. I want to have EB. EB, that's a Danish news site. So this particular one, this means it's blocked, and I'm just writing my own text here that please, this is not in accordance with our IT policy. Please talk to someone. And I even actually provided a link for the What's the English word for this? This is the handbook for every employee that you should have read. So, but I think that I should have access to that. So I'm requesting permission for this. So this is actually the request process. So I can either put my own, or I can say I need one-time pass. I need to. This is blocked. This must be a mistake. Or I can just write my own. I would rather say I'm doing this regularly. Please, I need this. The reason for being able to put in these predefined ones is because it helps the administrator actually create the policy set. Because if you're using this regular for work and a lot of people are doing it, then I should probably align my policy to cater for that. So if I'm going into the Starter Cloud Manager, I can see down here I have a request. Christian, that strange people, he wants to have access to this. I can review it if I want to. I can say I want to allow it, and how long do I want to allow it? Let me just I'm giving you an hour because I'm nice. I can also decline it, and that's fine. So now I have replied for it, and it should go over here. Actually, I can also see my requests in here if I want to. Let's see if it's not been. It takes 90. It can take up to 90 seconds to. Let's see. Now it came through. I didn't write anything, so go on, continue. And you can see I'm actually also doing DLP here because I'm masking data just for the fun of it. So that was one way of doing it. I could also say this is another site. It's also a news site. And I can see I'm changing the label up here, saying news again, really. But here I don't need to have permissions. I can just say proceed anyway. It's fine. I just wanted to go, this block fields mistake. No worries. And then I'm gone. So that's basic how you could go about providing like this request access for things. So another thing I could do, I could say, what should I say? What would I want to say? I could also say YouTube, for instance. And here you can not see a lot. This is because this has screen sharing prevention. So this will probably not show up on your screens. So that's probably a little bit boring, but I can do screen sharing prevention in a lot of ways, such as I cannot click on it, I cannot screenshot it, I can only use the built-in screenshot mechanism, otherwise it will be grayed out. Then I have, I can also say, for instance, if I want a site to be read-only, I want this to be read-only. This is a read-only site. It means that I can click on it, but I cannot put any values into it. So, for instance, say you have a NOC or something, and you want to have access to a dashboard like this. Of course, you can often log it down through the role-based access control, but you can actually also say that this is a read-only site. See, I cannot write anything. If I try to write anything, it says you cannot. If I try to copy-paste it in there, it also says this is read-only. You cannot do anything of the sorts. I can still click around though. So it could be that you have certain sites that you find like grayish, that you don't want to provide access to, but you don't want to really deny it either. Then you can do a read-only and say, okay, you can do something on. You can see it, but you cannot throw anything in there. I could also do. That's another one where you can say, this is a social security test generator. So let me just say I'm from Denmark. I want to have, this is my birthday and I'm a female. Show all the valid social security numbers. So here is a list of social security numbers. You cannot see them though, but there are in there. And you can see here that it's just grayed out, blocked out. You can see, actually we can show them because I have allowed for the unmasking. So if we do that, we do that, you can see this is yeah, it's fake CPR numbers, but it's still it goes to show. What can we show here? Let me show you another one. So if we wanted to have, which one should we show? Okay, I will go here just in a short while. All these things, when we are doing something, it provides events. You can see what the rule is that we are hitting. You can see what has happened, and you can also see, and if I click on it, you can see that this was the CPR number generator thingy. It triggered on my, where is the trigger? So it's the DLP trigger. You can see it up there. And also see it's a scan, it's a web, there's probably some database, etc. All these things around here, if we really need them. I can also, I think I'll just show this in a more fun way. Let me just check the chat GPT. Say, oh, apologize, I'm doing it in Danish. Anyway, it says that this is a CPR number. What is a CPR number? Oops. As soon as I tried to punch in the last digit, the DLP engine actually kicked in because it's preventing me to put in text here that's sensitive. And in this case, I just chose sensitive as CPR numbers because for me it's very convenient because I know the format. I can choose because I have allowed it to proceed anyway. If I do that, I'm allowed to do it, but I'm still doing it if I'm punching it in. I'm still masking it, though it does. It is pushed because I'm allowing it. Then it is pushed to the, but I can choose not to do that if I really don't want it to go out. This was more for inspirational purposes. And so also what I can do is, let's just check on the events and refresh it. So here you can see that the DLP, the chat GPT was hitting. If I want to, I can see, so this is the event recording. So I'm pushing it, it says yes. So this is how it looks like when you're checking the logs, if you have enabled the extensive log capabilities. And it actually goes, you can see there is a little movie icon out before some of them where I can show what happened. I'm also doing it on the data masking you saw before. So that's pretty neat. I do have my another things from the so this is the one I'm at right now. This is the device I'm on. If I click it, I can see how it behaves. I can see that I actually have my application digital experience monitoring enabled as well. So I can see a lot of information on the device itself, but I can also push the little icon. Where did it go? Oh, that's odd. Strange. So I have this request a live stream. If I'm pushing that one, I cannot just simply go in and spy on people. I need to request an access because it's user friendly, I guess you can argue. So it's actually a design decision that the solution shouldn't be able to spy. So when I then go over here in a short while, it will tell me that it's someone wants to take it over. Oh, demo guards, be good. Come on. There it was. So live stream request. Do we want to approve it or do we want to decline it? We will approve it. Do we want to show the entire screen? Do we want the window or do we only want the particular tab that we're in right now? Let's go ahead and choose the tab. So now we're sharing the tab. And if I go back in a short while, it should be able to say that here now. Oh, it says. So now I'm seeing the tab there. So if saying this is a demo. It's a really boring example, I can tell you. But you can they look so much alike that I need to be a little careful on where is it? Which one is so this one or is the normal one? Yeah, so I'm just seeing what he's seeing, and then I can act on it if I need to do that. And I can terminate it, and I'll say, fine, I have seen your session. And if I want to, I can download a recording of it saying, say if a certain user had a problem with a given site or an application, I can then download this recording and I can put it into the case log saying, yes, I saw the issue, he went there and he got the single sign-on problem, something, whatever, and then I can remove that. Not remove it, but I can at least I can share the information on it, on probably, perhaps, if I'm lucky, it can help the troubleshooting. All right. We unmask it again. Well, let's unmask the CPR numbers. Oh yeah, I forgot to show that. So I can also say, let's go through. This is my own site. So this site I have set up with MFA. So this now requires me to and again, being a little bit lazy, I said to it that I just needed to do the local credential. So I'm doing biometric login on my machine. As soon as they're putting my fingerprint, it will allow me access to it. And I can do that as well with the passkeys and etc. And I can do it on a per site basis. You can also see I actually also have a watermark on it because it's very secret. Yeah, very, very secret. I can do, if you haven't seen the commands in themselves, it looks like this. So this is where I can see all the traffic from also the Prisma Access part of it. But that was not what I wanted to show. I wanted to show you the application experience tab instead. So the application experience, that's this is where the Chromium browser, the Prisma Access browser, it has a module which then provide me with the feedback on how things are going. So you can see here that the site, the extrablad.dk, it has a user impact at 1 for a certain given time, and it gave us a score of 0. If you remember, this was actually because I had blocked it. So block site gives a fairly poor experience. But you can also see down here, and I can pivot. I can show different ways of showing this. But this shows actually when I went into that site. Right now, I'm just doing everything, but I can do a filter on it here in top, saying I only want a certain application, a certain domain, something. It could be I wanted to show how is Office 365 working for my users. I can show how was their ability when they tried to access it, how long did it take to load it, how fast did it take for the machine to actually paint it, as it's called. It's actually rendering the page, etc., etc. And then I can do a lot of different things here. I can also do synthetic tests. I have nothing in here, but I can also tell it to actively go do certain things in order to have interesting data in there. So if I have things I need to test, I can do that, and I'm getting root causes and stuff like that. Yeah, let's see what did we cover. Oh yeah, the rules. I want to show you the rules because it's interesting. So what I can do is let's go with the BT one. It's not that important which one we are taking here. So when I'm doing a rule, I have access control. So remember those pillars that I talked about that we could do. So I have access and data controls. That's very much the last part. And then I have the browser security, which is very much the hardening of the things themselves. So I can do stuff like I can do the watermarking. You saw that with the Conscia logo in the back. I can do masking of sensitive data. Let's try to do that. Let's say, and you can also say this masking with the web page that correspond to this Mitra data loss prevention things. I want to enable it. Do we want to mask all, only something? Let the last 2 digits be untouched or whatever. It's fine. And we say when it contains, and we want to have it something. So here we can say, so what do we want to do? Do we want to have it all GDPR data or certain? So let's go with the Sweden here. We want to have addresses in Sweden, bank in Sweden, driver's licenses. We want to have Norway. We want to have addresses, banks, and driver's license, national IDs. We don't like those. Passport numbers, those are bad as well. And Denmark, we could have that. Whatever. And then that would come in here. And I also have confidence levels saying that basically goes to how much false positives will I allow, because if it's, let's just say it's a passport number, it's fairly generic. Then I want to have a high confidence, but I may have a lower tolerance for CPR numbers, for instance. I could also say I don't want to cherry pick myself. I just want to have those. I can also just do a profile, say I just want sensitive context. If I would just choose that, sensitive content, it kind of takes all these things in there. So it says social security numbers primarily. You can see the primary rule here is if it's this and the confidence is such and such, hit it. I can do my own DLP numbers if I want to. Regexes, I can just, the CPR number that we saw before was actually a regex that I did. You can see I need to speed up a little bit. You can see I can also do Microsoft Information Protection integrations down here if I want to have that integrated into the DLP. I can also do Office 365 integrations if I want to make sure that encrypted documents are handled that way. Documents was the last thing I didn't show you. I'm really running out of time. I'm sorry. CPR, download test file, something. So if I'm downloading a file, just wanted to show you, I'm just picking this one. This is a document with the sensitive information based on the CPRs. And I get to download it, and if I do that, you will see I cannot access it because it's in the TV format, which is an encrypted format. But I can, if I want to, go in here and I can, because I have permissions to do that, but then I can unprotect it and then it will be unencrypted. Okay, I think I'm really running out of time now. But again, if you found this interesting or you want to hear more, please reach out to your local. One moment. There you go. Then please reach out to either me or your local Conscia representative, and then we will get back. I'm sorry I didn't get to do the Q&A. I will, on the other hand, look at the Q&A, and if there is something important, I will send it out to whoever wrote it. But thanks for your attention.